Hello, everybody. Just want to thank you for joining my live feed, and I hope that everybody has had a great week. It's been a few days since before I got on to a live feed. Today's presentation is going to be about the chakra system, or the 7 chakras, and we're going to be talking about the basics of it, of each chakra, and what we can look for if it's out of balance, that kind of stuff. Before I get started, I wanted to go ahead and put in here that this site right here at chakras.info is my source for today. So that's actually down in the description of this video as well. So if you wanted to be able to find out more about chakras, and I've been actually using this site for a while, you can go there, and then it has lots of articles on balancing your chakras. It has a chakra test, chakra healing, all that kind of stuff. So, but we're just going to do the basics here today and talk about what you can do at home by yourself. And so let's jump into it. So I like to start off with the crown chakra, and so let's start off with that. The crown chakra is the 7th chakra located at the top of the head. It gives us access to the higher states of consciousness as we open to what is beyond our personal preoccupations and visions. The function of the crown chakra is driven gets us in touch with the universal energy or universal consciousness, that kind of stuff. So this is the right up here, the top part of your head, and this it's hard to do this when I'm looking at myself on a video, that kind of stuff. It's at the top part of your head. So, I always visualize when I'm breathing or doing my meditation that it's opening up, and then you can feel that energy, opening up at the top of your crown and stuff like that. So, one of the things you can do is you can kind of just close your eyes. You can keep your eyes open. You can take a deep breath and go. And then as you exhale out, you just visualize that energy opening up, and then it's giving and receiving energy. It's giving and receiving energy from the universe, and you feel that. So hopefully you guys feel that, but I totally feel that on top of my head. I also, one of the things you can do is you can stare into this mandala, and you can feel an opening into the crown chakra as well. So one of the things I want to show you here is talking about the crown chakra imbalance. When the crown chakra has an imbalance, it can manifest as being disconnected to spirit, constant cynicism regarding what is sacred. On the opposite side of an overactive chakra could manifest as a disconnection with the body. In other words, you're way up here in the cosmos. You're floating up in the air. You're like, woo, all that kind of stuff, but you're not necessarily here grounded into the earth and what's happening here in your third dimensional reality. Living in your head, being disconnected from your body and earthly matter. So in other words, even you could see this as something when you forget to pay your bills, that kind of stuff, because you're too far, floating out, and you're not what some people would call as grounded. So obsessive attachment to spiritual matters and closed-mindedness. So there's types of people that are literally just kind of closed off to the idea of they think that their ideas, their spiritual ideas, are the best, and everybody else is wrong. Nobody else is awakened. All that kind of stuff, and they also become very closed-minded when at one time, maybe during their journey, they became very open. And they've lost touch with that because of where they're at, and they're out of balance right now. They've got an imbalance crown chakra. And so going on, let's take a look at the third eye chakra. The third eye chakra is the 6th chakra located on the forehead between the eyebrows. It is the center of intuition and foresight. The function of the third eye chakra is driven by principle of openness and imagination. So, I always visualize it being like right here in my forehead. And so you can actually see that, and I always see it as like this, like it's kind of like the eye of Ra on the dollar bill and stuff like that. You can see it feeling like it's opening up. And you can feel that, but you feel it not only on the front of the head, but you feel it on the back. And you can just feel it opening up and the energy just kind of going out and expanding into infinite. It's not something that obviously you're going to physically see, but you'll feel it. And this is all happening in the imagination. That's very important. You have to visualize these things in the imagination. So now the third eye or imbalance. When the third eye chakra has an imbalance, it can manifest as feeling stuck in the daily grind without being able to look beyond your problems and set a guiding vision for yourself. An overactive third chakra without support from the rest of the chakra systems may manifest as fantasies that appear more real than reality, indulgence in psychic fantasies and illusions. Not being able to establish a vision for oneself and realize it, rejection of everything spiritual or beyond the usual, and not being able to see the greater picture or lack of clarity. So what happens with the third eye chakra, and you can also feel a change if you just stare into this mandala as well. But what happens with the third eye chakra is that it gives you your gift of sight. The eye that sees beyond the physical, and can start to see if it's in a very balanced state. You'll be able to see the things before they start happening, and be able to feel them before they start happening. You'll be able to see the story behind the story, or the things beyond what you're seeing with your senses, that kind of stuff. So let's move on to the throat chakra. So the throat chakra is the fifth chakra located at the center of the neck at the level of the throat. It is the passage of energy between the lower parts of the body and the head. The function of the throat chakra is driven by principle of expression and communication. So indications of an imbalanced throat chakra. Let's jump into that really quick. The blocked throat chakra can contribute to feelings of insecurity, being timid, and introversion. On the other end of the spectrum, an overactive throat chakra may also lead to gossiping, nonstop talking, and being verbally aggressive or mean. It can seem as though the filter between the discourse you have in your mind and what comes out of your mouth is not working, are missing entirely. When the throat chakra has an imbalance, it can manifest as lack of control over one's speech, speaking too much or inappropriately, not being able to listen to others, excessive fear of speaking, small, imperceptible voice, not being able to keep secrets to your and keep your word, telling lies. On the opposite side of the closed throat chakra might manifest as excessive secretiveness or shyness, lack of connection in vocation or purpose of life. So let's talk about this just for a second, because let's think about that. At least somebody that's been really abused all their life, or they've been afraid to speak, or they've spoken and they were shot down. They eventually, as they start to healing, they might even go on the opposite end of the spectrum and become overactive in their throat chakra, and start speaking too much, because they've literally suppressed themselves for so long. They start to go in that other direction. So it may take them a while before they find balance in that and discernment on what to say and what not to say and that kind of stuff. And that comes with wisdom. And each one of these chakras is a journey that is going to happen throughout your energetic body. And so that's something to keep in mind. So we can do all these exercises where we open this up in our meditation, and that's good because it starts getting it used to opening up so it can be in balance. We can do all these exercises or healing energy to bring things back into balance. If it's anybody who's experienced like Reiki healing, where you've went and got healing and then you feel great and then you start going out of the world and you start getting out of balance, because our thoughts literally create the blocks within our energy system. So, we can go in and we can meditate, and those are things that we need to do each day. We need to meditate and open up these energy systems, which we can do ourselves. So you do that by just breathing and imagining these energy systems opening up, and then you can see them expanding, and then you bring them back in, and then you expand, almost like a muscle. It's like, and you do in and out, or in and out, in and out, and that kind of stuff. So you're just practicing being in balance with them. And so then what will happen in the third dimensional world, you'll start to speak more, speak the truth, and have more confidence in yourself, that kind of stuff. And as you experience not having confidence in yourself and holding back, then you'll have chances to look at that, which I've talked about in other videos, where we spend time looking at our day and looking at where we could have jumped or taken a leap forward, overcome our fears, that kind of stuff. But it's right in the energy energy system. So our next one is our heart chakra, which I know a lot of us talk about. The heart chakra is the original original Sanskrit, and I know I'm going to mispronounce this. Anahata is the original Sanskrit name. Colors or life with compassion, love, and beauty, driven by the principles of transformation and integration. The fourth energy center is said to bridge earthly and spiritual aspirations, explore what makes the essence of the chakra, and how to unravel its powerful energy to enrich your life. I actually did a video not too long ago, and I think I'm going to put it down in, it's actually been a long time ago. It's been 7 years ago that a group of friends of mine, Justin and I, and or my friend Julian, had put together. It's basically an exercise where I teach how to get into balance with your chakras and take a deep breath in, and then energetically it's kind of like you're in this state of swaying and stuff like that. I'm moving around. I might put that down here in the description as well later on. So, but the reason why I said that is because the heart is the center of the energy system. So you've got the 3 heart chakras above that, and then the three chakras below. And when the heart is when they're all in balance, the heart becomes that, exactly what it's saying here. It becomes the bridge between the earthly and spiritual aspirations, or the earthly and spiritual worlds. So you can walk between both worlds, so to speak. So this is something that we'll take a look at in a second, and I'll definitely put that down in the description of the video as well. So signs that your fourth chakra or heart chakra can become imbalanced as a result of life experiences that have strong emotional charge, physical ailments, or significant changes in your environment. It may manifest as blockage in the energy flow, or in the contrary, a tendency to become overactive or have an excessive energy. You can see the following signs of imbalance in the heart chakra: being overly defensive, feeling closed down, jealousy, fear of intimacy, codependency, relying on others' approval and attention, trying to please at all cost, always putting oneself in the role of savior or rescuer, or on the contrary, falling into the victimization, excessive isolation, being recluse, antisocial, holding grudges, and not being able to forgive. At the physical level, it can manifest as respiratory ailments such as lung infections or bronchitis, circulatory and heart-related issues. So when the energy in your fourth chakra is blocked or hindered, you may experience what's sometimes referred to as heart chakra pain. So something to take a look at. So one of the things I want to say is, when we're talking about these imbalances, this is something that we're all going through. I mean, this is something that, as life happens, we start to experience it, and these energy systems can get out of balance. I mean, anything can happen. You could lose your job. You could be working on something and be disappointed. A relationship could have a change in it. Those kind of things. You could have an argument with somebody you care about. All these things can happen. And, those emotions are what define this energy system. So then the body and the energy system is still a compass, so to speak. It's like your body GPS to say, hey, there's something going on, so you can get down into this energy system and take a look at it, and you can really sit in the emotions and change it. So something to take in consideration while you're looking at your own self-healing. So the next one here is the solar plexus. Radiate your power in the world, could say the solar plexus chakra, characterized by the expression of will, personal power, and mental abilities. The the energy of the third chakra, or Manipura in the Sanskrit, is mobilized when we assert ourselves in the world, discover its key characteristics, and how to make the most of this powerful energy center. So when you think about personal power, or radiate your power in the world, let's go jump into the imbalances here, because it really kind of explains what this is about. On one side, a balanced solar plexus chakra makes it easy to find balance between your personal power and harmonious relationships with others. On the other side, an imbalanced third chakra could undermine your self-esteem in social life. When the solar plexus is balanced, you may be assertive, exert your will in a way that leads to expected results somewhat effortlessly, have harmonious relationships with your surrounding, Imbalances in the third chakra can manifest as excessive control and authority over your environment and people. So you're trying to control, people from hurting you or making mistakes, that kind of stuff. Or the opposite in the case of deficiency or blocked energy, feeling of helplessness or irresponsibility. Being obsessed with the minute details, seeing life through a filter of plus and minuses while losing sight of the whole picture. Being manipulative, misusing your power, lack of clear direction, lack of purpose or ambition, making plans or having a lot of ideas without finding efficient ways to realize them. So this is something where it has been a great lesson for me in the solar plexus because, that's something where I've had a tremendous lot of great ideas. They haven't necessarily come to fruition, some of them have, and some of them haven't, but that's a part of life, right? You just keep on going and going and going, and that's what I was saying earlier. You're going to make these mistakes. You're going to have things happen. Things aren't going to go exactly the way you want them to, and what's going to happen is that solar plexus chakra is going to start to have a block in it, and then as you re-empower yourself and as you start changing your thoughts and saying, no, it's time to get back in the saddle. That was just a setback. It's a learning lesson. Hey, these are things that I could have done better. These are things that I didn't think about. Those kind of things, then that solar plexus chakra gets stronger. It's kind of like working out your muscles and getting stronger in yourself. So it's something really just to think about, right? So it's something I just want you to say, hey, this is not for me to beat myself up about. This is for me to start becoming self-aware, because this is all about the self-awareness game, that kind of stuff. So really just think about that. Now, let's go on to the sacral chakra. The sacral chakra is the second chakra. It is associated with the emotional body, sensuality, and creativity. Its element is water, and as such, its energy is characterized by flow and flexibility. The function of the sacral chakra is directed by the principle of pleasure. Let's have a look at this energy center's basics, including location, color, symbol, and potential signs of imbalance, and what to do to heal your sacral chakra. So let's just take a look at the sacral chakra imbalance. When the sacral chakra is balanced, the relationship with the world and other people is centered around nurturing, pleasure, and harmonious exchange. An imbalance in the sacral chakra can manifest as dependency, codependency with other people, or substance that grants you easy access to pleasure, so drug addictions, that kind of stuff, lots of alcohol, those things. Being ruled by your emotions. The opposite feeling is feeling numb, out of touch with yourself and how you feel, overindulgence in fantasies or sexual obsessions, or the opposite, lack of sexual desire or satisfaction, feeling stuck in a particular feeling or mood. So when you go back to this, where it says, when it starts to go into it's the function of the sacral chakra is directed by the principles of pleasure. And so when you think about that, when you start going into any other things that you're stuck in this emotional state, you feel stuck there, you feel stuck in depression, sadness, all that kind of stuff, this is in that sacral chakra. So you can actually pretend like your consciousness is going down there into the sacral chakra. Sometimes you have to be kind of like a 5-year-old, and with your imagination, you have to sit there and go, okay, what's going on down here? And you have to have a conversation with yourself, with that inner world that this might be screaming. It might be the inner child saying, hey, wait a second, this isn't what's going on. Why does this feel this way? Why am I so upset? So this is what I mean by going in. You can actually go into these areas, and what you do is you take a deep breath in and you exhale out, and as you breathe, you can feel all these tensions in your body, and where those tensions are at is where you want to go. Those tensions in the body, those like little nooks and crannies where you want to sit there and stretch. And by the way, you want to do your stretching in the morning as well. When you sit there and you do that, when you're stretching, or when you do this breathing and you feel those blocks, so those are the blocks, and you want to sit in that with your consciousness and say, hey, what's going on in here? And you want to listen, because this is what's called giving love to yourself. And so when somebody says self-love, you have to learn to love yourself before you can anybody else can love you, or you can love others. This is what it's mean. You're going to give that attention that you would give to a child or a spouse when they're upset and you're holding them, that kind of stuff. You're going to give that to yourself, and you're going to go inside of yourself, and you're going to start looking down in those areas and saying, hey, what's going on down here? Why are you upset? Why is there this tension? Why is there this stress? And then when you start to feel it, it might not always come up as a voice, but as you start to feel it, you may even say to yourself, hey, I love you. It's going to be okay. It's going to be fine. You can also say the Ho'oponopono prayer. You can say that, I love you. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. Thank you. And you can say that over and over and over again as you breathe in and breathe out. So let's go down to the last chakra, or the first chakra actually, which is the root chakra. The root chakra is the first chakra, is an energy is based on the earth element. It's associated with the feeling of safety and grounding. It's at the base of the chakra system and lays the foundation for an expansion in your life. So if we go down, show what it has, what happens when the first chakra is imbalanced. At the emotional level, the deficiencies or imbalance in the first chakra are related to excessive negativity or cynicism, eating disorders, greed or avarice, illusion, excessive feeling of insecurity, or living on a survival mode constantly. So this is kind of like that lower part of Maslow's needs, the safety needs, that kind of stuff. And so, if you're in this area, then you want to go down and you want to look at it. Now, it may be real things that are happening in your life that are causing you to feel a lack of safety in your life, as far as being taken care of in those earthly realms. But what you can do, because our thoughts attract, and so what we think is what we become in our life, those things like that. So if you're constantly in a cynical state, guess what you're going to keep on doing? You're going to start keep on manifesting your cynicism, or your worst fears will come upon you. That's because you're constantly thinking about the possible situation. So what are you going to manifest? You're going to manifest the worst possible situation. So those are things that, hey, I went through each one of these chakras, and you can take a look at them, and you can do all these chakra exercises and all these mantras and all these things, and those do work. I'm not going to say that they don't, because some of those sounds actually open up the chakras and get them back into a state, but you have to still filter through the thoughts. And so what's going to happen is all these thoughts or feelings are going to start surfacing, and you have to look at those, and you have to do some forgiveness. You have to do some letting go, and that's part of the healing process. So you're going to have to spend some time with yourself. You can't just do the mantras, and you can't just do the affirmations and all that kind of stuff, or the oming and all that kind of stuff. All that stuff is perfect, and you can do that, and it does work. What that does is it opens it up so that all those things that were blocking it come to the surface, so you don't block it again. So it's something to really think about as you're working on your personal journey. I hope this is helpful for everybody. Everybody, much love to you, and peace, and have a great day. Love you all. Bye-bye.